Hey everybody, Chef Brian K. We're back at you for another episode of Let's Cook. Today we're making city chicken. So, let's get going. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so we toasted some bread. I had a couple extra hot dog buns, and we got some rye bread and 2 or 3 slices of white bread. Toasted these in the toaster, and we're going to grind these up for breadcrumbs to bread our city chicken before we fry that in a big cast iron skillet. So let's get this all cut up, and we'll come right back once we're going through the grinding process. Okay, now we're going to get out my little pasta colander. I love this thing. It's got an insert with slots in the bottom and a solid bottom bowl. So we're going to use this to strain our breadcrumbs, get the big pieces out. Then we'll put those back in the food processor and grind those up a little bit more. But we want to get out the big pieces because they're not good for our breading. Okay, one of my favorite ways to bread, I use my bread baking pans. They're perfect size for the city chicken that we're using today. And we'll get to prepping that in a little bit. But we're going to get our breading station, our breadcrumbs all set before we start assembling our city chicken. Okay, we're putting together the egg wash for our breading process using our little $5 eggs. I think I paid $7 or $8 for this 18 pack of eggs. A lot of fun doing that. Hopefully it'll get better when the bird flu dies down. Anyway, get that little bit of shell out of there. Pull it up the side of the pan. There we go. Got it. Okay. That's enough eggs. Gotta save these things for breakfast. Anyway, okay. We'll get back. We're going to add a little bit of water to this. Blend it up with a small whisk. and set that aside and put together the third part of our breading, which is a little all-purpose flour with salt and pepper in it. So we'll bring you back. Okay, we got our breading station all set up, ready to go. Now we're going to manufacture our city chicken pieces. I've got several little 7-inch skewers here. I cut down from larger skewers, just lopped them off with a French knife. So we're going to cut these into just perfect size pieces. These are 2 pieces of pork shoulder we picked up at the butcher shop. It's really good for this. It's got plenty of fat in it, and it's big enough and thick enough that we can get some nice pieces out of it. I'm not the biggest fan of pork loin. It doesn't have enough marbling in it for me. I like pork tenderloin. I like pork shoulder. All right. We're trying to cut these in about 1 to 1.5 inch cubes. So we're going to cut these off. We cut 1.5 inch slices for the most part. Now we're going to cut them 1 to 1.5 inches the other way. And we'll have about 15 pieces out of each of the pork shoulders. And that'll get us 5 or 6 nice pieces of city chicken. Okay, we're going to put together our little skewers. We'll put 3, 4, maybe 5 pieces per stick. We don't want them too close together. We want to be able to get a little bit of breading in between the pieces. This is, by the way, a dish that's been popular in the Midwest since the early 20th century. My mother made quite a bit of it while I was growing up in the northern Ohio area. City chicken was Wednesday night, for the most part. Not every week, but Wednesday night oftentimes was city chicken night. So looked forward to that, and we had it quite a bit growing up. So we'll keep doing this and bring you right back. Okay, so we're all organized for our breading. First we start with all-purpose flour and brush off most of the flour, dip it into the egg wash, and run it through the breadcrumbs. Got a nice little cold beverage there, working on the side. A little refreshment while we're cooking today. I usually put on some rubber gloves when I do this, just to keep my hands cleaned up. But I couldn't find them this afternoon, so we'll just keep doing it this way. Okay, we got all our city chicken skewers all put together and breaded. So we took that little bit of scrap from the pork shoulder and a little bit of vegetable olive oil blend, and we're going to render that down in the big 14-inch cast iron skillet that you've all seen before. I love this big skillet. And we'll render that down for a little bit, then we'll pull that little bit of scrap pork out of there, and we'll get to sauteing our city chicken. Okay, get those little pieces of that pork shoulder fat out of there. The renderings, as they call them in the country. And let's get our city chicken over here. We got a good fire under that pan. So let's get this stuff in there. Oh, perfect temperature. Just starts bubbling around the edges as soon as we put these in. And we got them all in there. So we'll watch these and turn them around in a couple of minutes. Then we're going to pop them in the oven and bake them for a little while till they're nice and tender. Okay, we got them turned over here. Let them get a little brown on the other side. And we'll get ready to put them in the oven. Okay, pull those out of there. Put them on a small piece of paper towel. Damp up a little bit of that grease. Then we're going to put them on a sheet pan lined with a little bit of aluminum foil and get them ready to pop in the oven. Okay, in the oven now, and we'll let those bake in there for about 45 minutes to an hour. Okay, we'll strain off this grease. Got a beautiful little fat saver, a small metal canister. It's got a very fine sieve in the top. Very carefully. Now strain all that bread mixture and anything that was in that oil left over from the city chicken pieces. So do that, slap our lid back on there and set it aside for our next project. Okay, pulled our city chicken out of the oven. Checking them, make sure they're tender. Put a little piece off of there. Okay, come on. Yeah. They stick to the foil just a little tiny bit. I should have brushed a little bit of vegetable oil or put some spray on there before we did it, but they'll come right off here in a second. Okay, there we have it. Pull one of these little doubles apart for some tasting. Nice and tender. They came out quite nice. So, we'll set these aside and warm them up here a little bit, and that's what we're eating for dinner at the Kennedy household. So, thanks for joining us, everybody. This was City Chicken, and hope you get to make it at your house again sometime soon. Thanks for joining us at Let's Cook. I'm Chef Brian K. See you again very soon.